Terry and Jane from Pilates in Holland, and we're going to show you a series of 5 classic abdominal exercises. Many abdominal exercises involve flexion of the spine, but in people with osteoporosis, flexion of the spine is discouraged in order to prevent damage to the vertebrae. But there's good news. All of these exercises can be modified to protect the spine, yet still preserve the goals of increased abdominal strength and core stability. Jane and I are going to show you these 5 exercises, both with the traditional and modified versions, side by side, so you can easily spot the differences in technique. So let's begin with our single leg stretch. So come to lie back on your mat and bring your knees up into your chest. You're going to float your head up into a mini sit-up and lengthen one leg out straight. And on the bent knee, you're going to take one hand and place it on your ankle, and the other hand is going to go to the inside of your knee. Pull that knee toward your chest and switch, switching your hands as well. And switch, and switch. Inhale, inhale, inhale. 4, 3, 2, and 1. And now Jane is going to show you the modified version.
So when I modify an exercise, I always try to preserve the intent of the exercise. So in these 5 exercises, what they're trying to accomplish is to develop pelvic stability, core control, and increase your abdominal strength. And when we talk about pelvic stability, what we are looking for is if you would put a marble on your belly and you did the exercise, the marble wouldn't move at all. You wouldn't roll off, it wouldn't roll forward, it wouldn't roll backwards. So that's what you need to think of as you do the exercise, is trying to keep that pelvic area still. So with the single leg stretch, we'll start out lying on our back. And the first thing we want to do is actually do an imprint. So take your fingers and put them on your hip bones. And now what you want to do is roll your pelvis so that your hip bones start pointing towards your face. And as you do this, you'll feel your low back press into the mat. So if you had a tattoo on your back, you would be imprinting that tattoo actually on the mat itself. Now leave your pelvis in that position and bring your legs up into tabletop. And already we've got our abs are on. You are doing some ab work just in this position. You can turn this into a march. At this point, you've got the single leg thing going. And if you want to get a little bit more challenge and add your upper abs, you can just think about lifting your head, and immediately, even if you have that thought, your upper abs will turn on. For a little bit more, you can take your head heavy in your hands and just float your head off the floor. So think head heavy in your hands. And so no neck tension here. My knuckles are still scraping the towel or the mat, but I am just floated off the floor. Now you can start to begin to do the leg motion, or you can leave your head down on the mat and then do the arm motion at the same time. And that's a single leg stretch.
Okay, so moving on to our next exercise is the double leg stretch. So again, we're going to come to lie on our back, and if we're finishing from the position of the single leg stretch, we're up still in our mini sit-up. One leg is lengthened out straight, and the other is bent in toward the body. Our spine is still imprinted down into the mat. And now let's bring both knees up into the chest and hug those knees in with your hands. And then we're going to lengthen away both arms and legs in the opposite directions. And then circle the arms around and hug the knees in. Lengthen away. And every time you circle around, Exhale and try and bring those abdominals deeper into the center of your body. And lengthen away. Exhale. Lengthen away. Lengthen away. And you'll notice I'm even trying to curl up even just a little bit more as I engage those abdominals as well. And there's the traditional version of the double leg stretch.
For the modified version, we're going to come back on our back. And again, start with that imprint. So rock your pelvis forward. Your tattoo is flat on the mat. Your legs come up into tabletop. We're going to do just the arms first. So the arms come circle around. And then what you want to do is press against your knees. So your leg is going this way towards your chest. Your hand is pushing towards your feet. So you press out, around, and press. Now you can actually add a little bit of leg movement if you want to do that. And your legs can be high. You can also put your hands behind your head and eliminate the arm movement. Do the think that I'm going to lift my head, or just the float with my head heavy in my hands. And my legs go high and they come down in. And they go high and they come down in. Or you can bring your legs out and down. And again, you only want to come down as low as you can keep your low back in the mat.
Okay, and now for the single leg, straight leg stretch. So again, come to lie on your mat. And we finished off with our double leg stretch. Let's say we finished off with our knees in. And we're going to take one leg and lengthen it up toward the ceiling. The other leg lengthens out long toward the wall in front of you. And we're going to grasp our leg with both of our hands, being careful not to grasp. You can really grasp anywhere on the leg. Just make sure you're not grasping behind the knee. So we're going to pull this leg in twice and switch. Pull the leg in twice and switch. Notice from my head to my tail, this part of my body is not moving. It's just my legs and my arms. Now, to get your breathing going, you want to do a sniff, sniff, and switch, and sniff, sniff, and switch. There's the double leg stretch.
Okay, for the modification, so we talked about the intention of all of these exercises is to develop your pelvic stability, your core control, and ab strength. With this exercise, we also add on, we're increasing the flexibility of our hamstrings. So we start on our back, again in the imprint. So your low back is down in the floor. Your legs are in tabletop. And what you can do is you can take one leg down, the other leg goes up, and think heel to the ceiling. So you get that nice hamstring stretch in the back. And then switch and kick the ceiling, and switch, kick the ceiling, switch, kick the ceiling. Now we can also add the upper abs in with either I'm thinking my head up, or my hands are heavy in my hands are heavy, holding my heavy head, and we can just do the legs. So you can think legs up and down, up and down. And if you do this with your feet flexed, you get a little bit more of the hamstrings. Now, if you want to add the arms, you can leave your head down, grab behind your knee, unless you're really, really flexible, and give it the pull. And then it starts to look more like the traditional exercise. And that's modified single leg stretch.
Okay, now for the double straight leg stretch. Again, same position. And let's say we finished off with the single leg stretch, so we're in this position. Now for the double straight leg stretch, we're going to bring both of our legs up toward the ceiling. Our hands come behind our head and we're floating up into a mini sit-up. Abdominals are engaged. And then we're going to lower our legs only as far as we can keep our spine onto the mat and keep our core stable. If you feel your lower back starting to lift off the mat, then you're going down too far. So just, you just don't go down as far. And adding in our breathing. Exhale. Inhale. Again, like Jayne is saying, let your head feel heavy in your hands. That increases the work of your abdominals. And there's the double straight leg stretch in the traditional version.
Good. So with this exercise, in addition to your core stability and your ab strength, we're also trying to strengthen our hip flexors. One little addition you can do on this one, which helps, is if you have a towel and fold that up behind your low back, and you can actually use that to press your low back into, which gives you a little bit more stability on this one. So we're going to lay back down. You're going to be an imprint, so you're pressing into that towel. Your legs are straight. And we can just do the bent leg version on this one. And again, you have to really fight. So exhale your ribs even down into the mat as you do the straight legs. Or you can leave your head totally down and do straight legs as low as you can keep your low back in the floor. Or you can come to start to mimic what the full exercise looks like and just do a little float of the head and bring your legs up and down. And that's the modified double straight leg stretch.
Okay, and for our final exercise, we have the crisscross bicycle. So let's come back down to lie on our mat. So we finished with our double straight leg stretch. So again, our hands are behind our head. Now we're going to take one leg out straight, the other leg, the knee is bent, and we're going to think of bringing our rib cage across to that opposite knee and then switch. Rib cage to opposite knee and switch and switch. Try to think of just the movement coming from the rib cage, your shoulders, keeping that pelvis steady and trying to prevent it from rocking side to side. We're lifting and lifting. Keep those elbows wide. And there's crisscross bicycle in the traditional version.
Okay. The additional thing is, you can tell what we're trying to accomplish in this exercise is actually strengthen the torso and rotation. What that means is we're working on those oblique muscles, so those muscles that go from your upper rib cage down to your hip. And there's a couple ways we can accomplish that. With osteoporosis, loaded flexion or rotation is not a good thing for your spine, so it's kind of tricky to figure out how to do that. Modification for this exercise. So again, we start with the imprint, so you rotate your pelvis in towards your face. And now what we can do is you're going to do what we call push of war. So your hand is pushing this way, your leg is pushing this way. And as you push, you engage that oblique. So you can just do the push of war and you get the same benefit that you're getting with the full rotation. Now the other thing that we can do is do minimal rotation. So your spine stays flat on the mat. Actually put one finger on your ribs, the lowest part of your rib cage, and then one finger on your hips. Now try and just bring those 2 points together. It's pretty subtle. And then release. Now go ahead and switch to the other side. Bring your rib cage to your hip and then release.
And we can do that same thought process as you do the exercise. So your head can be heavy in your hands and just floating off the floor. Legs start out in tabletop. And now we're just going to think rib to my hip and rib to my hip. So my spine is staying flat on the floor, but I'm still getting that oblique rotation as I pull those 2 points together.
So now Terry is going to lead us through the entire set of exercises, and you can choose whichever modification works for you.
Okay, let's start with our single leg stretch. So again, we bring our knees into our chest, then one leg lengthens out, one hand on the ankle, the other on the inside of the knee, and switch, 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 switch. 4, 3, 2, 1. Now double leg stretch. In and reach out. Out. And 4, and 3, and 2, and 1. And now single straight leg stretch. One leg up, other leg out. Pull that leg in twice. Switch. 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 4, 3, 2, 1. Double straight leg stretch. And legs lower and lift. Lower. Let's do 2 more of these. 2 and 1. And finally, crisscross bicycle. Remember, keep thinking that rib to hip. And switch, and switch, and switch, 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 and 4, 3, 2, and 1. Great job.
Thank you very much for joining us today, and I hope this helps you find the modification that works for you.
Thanks for watching.